New listings are down double digits to start 2026, and that's not something we've seen to start the year in a long time. TRREB, which stands for the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, just released their monthly market watch report for January 2026, so let's jump right into it. I want to start by saying that the larger asset classes, detached and semi-detached homes, performed better than the smaller ones, and by smaller I mean condos and townhouses. Looking at detached homes, these represented almost 27% of sales last month in the city of Toronto and came in at an average price of $1.541 million in January 2026, which was up 2.92% month over month, but down 2.8% year over year. These also took 22 days to sell when using that median metric, or 38 days when looking at the average. And in typical fashion, the most competitive price point for this category was the $1 million to $1.25 million bracket. Moving on to semi-detached homes, where these represented just 9% of sales in the city of Toronto last month. The average sale price was $1.146 million in January 2026. This represented a 2.13% increase month over month and was essentially unchanged from a year prior, down just 0.9% year over year. Semis took anywhere from 16 days to 35 days to sell when looking at the median and average days on market. And the most active price points for this category was from $800,000 to $1.25 million, so a large range there. A lot of people desire this type of property, especially close to the city. It's a step up from the condo and townhouse segments where you see a lot of people jumping up from, and it's also a much more affordable asset compared to a detached property, where the gap between these two asset classes is upwards of $300,000. Looking at towns and condos now, the impact was more noticeable both month over month and year over year. Townhouses had an average sale price of $876,000 in January 2026, which was down 10.2% month over month and down 6.7% year over year. These represented about 10% of sales last month, took in between 41 and 45 days to sell, which is a little longer than the larger asset classes, and were most active from $600,000 to $800,000. And finally, condo apartments represented the bulk of transactions, with 51% of sold transactions happening here in January 2026, and recorded an average sale price of $631,000 or $632,000. Those prices were down 4.72% month over month and down a more noticeable 8.6% year over year. The most competitive price point for this asset class was from $400,000 to $700,000. If you're new to the channel, my name is Trey and I'm an active realtor here in the city and the GTA who loves creating educational content to help you navigate the real estate market, whether you're a first-time home buyer, an upsizer, a seller, or a renter. If you find value in these videos, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see how we may be able to work together, use that first link down below to book a time to chat. Overall sales in January 2026 were down 19% compared to last year. At this point last year, we had approximately 3,800 sales happen, whereas this year we're sitting at just under 3,100 transactions through the TRREB MLS system. Sales activity declined across the board, with drops ranging roughly in between 16% and 25% when looking at the entire GTA as a whole. This also marks the first time since January 2021 that the average price across all asset classes combined has dipped below $1 million in a monthly report. These softer conditions create stronger opportunities for buyers. For sellers, conversations can be a bit more challenging, but it's also important to emphasize that it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish in the market. I think the winners in the market right now are sellers who don't need to purchase another property afterwards. Think those in the retirement stage of life, and first-time home buyers are getting into their first property. Those people are also winners. Prices have come down between 24% to 26% from the height of the market, and when you factor that in with lower interest rates, affordability is much better than where it once was. Other winners include those looking to upsize. Selling a smaller asset class that may not have dropped as much in value in comparison to the larger ones will make that jump a little easier. It goes without saying that if you bought at the height of the market and don't need to sell, you're fine. But if you can't hold on to that property anymore, that's a little tougher situation to be in. Now, the category that surprised me the most was new listings. So these are down 13% year over year. And while listings are usually lower in January, we haven't seen a drop this big in quite some time when looking at new listings to start the year. Last year, new listings were up 48% in January. The year before that, they were up 6%. And the year before that, they were down by almost 4% year over year. So the 13.3% drop this January is pretty eye-opening. Now, you might be asking yourself, why are we seeing this? I think we're seeing this decline because there's a fair share of sellers out there that are choosing to wait for now, which is different from what we've been seeing or saying over the last few months. No doubt that there's still more pain to come and more homes will eventually hit the market, but I do think that sellers are aware of buyer hesitation right now, right? And that's influencing their decision not to rush back into the market if they don't absolutely need to sell. Sales are down year over year, and when sellers see fewer offers, longer days on market, like we've explained, and more negotiation power on behalf of buyers, it naturally will make some of them think maybe now is not the best time to sell. Moving into inventory sitting on the market, we've seen detached properties actually climb a little bit here in this category, which was quite interesting. And again, it's really encouraging if you're a buyer in the marketplace right now. In the city of Toronto, detached homes came in at 5.76 months of inventory, which sits firmly in balanced market territory. Semi-detached homes are still at the tail end of a seller's market with 3.01 months of inventory. Townhouses are also at the very, very tail end of a seller's market with 3.95 months of inventory. And condos sit in a buyer's market at 7.56 months of inventory for the city of Toronto. That wraps up our breakdown of the Market Watch Report for January 2026. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned a thing or two. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you can stay in the loop with more educational content just like this one here. Take care and remember to trust the process and to always fall in love with your journey.